Okay. I'll call this meeting to order of the Brawley City Council, Community Redevelopment, successor agency to Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, and our regular meeting of December the 21st at 6 p.m. And roll call, please.
Councilmember Happy,
Here.
Councilmember Horton,
Here.
Councilmember Castro, Mayor Pro Tem Nava,
Here.
Mayor Couchman.
Here. Okay. For our invocation, we will have Mike Nuchek of the El Redentor Church. Please come up, Mike.
Father, we come before you humbly standing here as servants, as your children. And Lord, we ask for your direction, your leading of your Spirit in each and every decision and each and every discussion that will take place in our city. Lord, we ask you for your mercy, your grace, that we may be blessed, we may be helped, we may be guarded and protected by your almighty hand. And thank you for the gift that you gave us so many years ago in the person of Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. In Jesus' name we say amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Please remain standing. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask the Mayor Pro Tem Nava to lead us in that.
Thank you. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Okay, I'll entertain approval of our agenda.
I'll make a motion. This is Mayor Pro Tem Nava. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We'll move to item number 2 of the agenda is public appearances and comments not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. You are now not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. And I believe we have someone.
Yes, we have Ruth Duarte from Teamsters.
Okay. And I believe she's going to address us on an item that is on the agenda, but she has another meeting, and so I've granted her the ability to do that.
Okay.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi, good afternoon, board members. I don't know why my camera is not working. Sorry about that, but my name is Ruth Duarte and I'm representative for the teachers group in City of Brawley. And tonight you are approving the American Recovery Act plan that you have. And we are in support of the premium pay for the employees. I do have a question though, and I know it's during public comments, but if approved tonight, is there a date when it would be dispersed to the employees?
You wish me to answer?
Yes, please.
It's approximately sometime in March.
It'll be dispersed in March of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know if you guys can discuss it during the item or not. I asked to speak on the item during the time, but if you guys could disperse the stipends sooner, it would greatly be, but we are in agreement with the amount. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Anybody else with a public comment on items not on the agenda?
I would like to just announce something that we're doing tomorrow at our church. It's going to be a drive-by Christmas story. And I have some flyers here if anybody wants to pick one up. And what it's about, in our parking lot of our church, we're going to have 10 different stands where you could drive up for distance and whatnot and listen to the different parts of the Christmas story. And at the end of every event, of every stand, the kids will get a present, and then at the end of the whole presentation, they will also get a special gift of the manger scene of Jesus being born. So I'm going to leave these here if anybody wants to take one and pray for us, or just come by. Come by and bring hot dogs or chips or nachos or something like that. Okay? So it's all welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank
Guate,
you,
that's
sir.
right. Guate.
Max, did you have a thing you wanted to address us on?
Good evening. My name is Max Reyes. I lived in Brawley all my life. I currently live, I grew up at 1009 8th Street. I currently live at 1009 8th Street. My wife lives at, I grew up in 995 8th Street around Hinojosa Park. And we lived there, we've been around that park all our lives. And me currently, in being involved in the Ecological Society for so many years, I've seen many events. And I just came here to follow up on Monica Valadez's comment. She came last year because of an accident with her grandson. That's one thing that we share. We share the same grandson. And it is something that me and my wife over the years have always discussed about, saying it is something that is very, something someday is going to happen, because we've seen so many near accidents. We've seen accidents. I've actually confronted some people that are going too fast, and I yell at them, hey, slow down, there's kids around. But we never did anything about it. And it's a shame that we didn't, because now when it hits home, when your grandson gets hit by a car, it hurts. And somebody saw it, accident, and they heard his name was Max, so somebody called me and said, hey, Max, do you have a grandson named Max? I said, yes. He just got hit, but he was just in an accident. So your heart sinks. I tell my wife, she calls our son and her daughter and his wife, and we rush to the place, and we get there, and our grandson is on the side of the road. Ambulance is already there, and luckily he's all right, But the issue is that, like I said, it's something that should have been taken care of. We should have confronted with the city council before, because it was an accident that happened, not until it hits somebody that you know personally, and his family, then you react. I mean, it's been years around Hidalgo Hall. You have quinceañeras, you have weddings, and kids are kids. And there's people going fast just because it's
a wide road.
It's a wide road, yes, like Malin, like Eastern. The cars are going there too fast, but there's a park there. Like I said, Hidalgo's all, and there's people going fast to get to the school. There's people just because it's wide, they're going, and what you have in all those streets from K Street to G Street are yield signs, not stop signs. They're yield signs. And I just came just to follow up, and we've been in contact with Monica, and she's telling us that they've contacted her. It's going through a process. The only thing I'm saying is, don't let that process take too long, because it could save somebody's life.
Absolutely.
All right, so I either her or myself, or we'll be coming up every meeting just to see where we're at, because we want to know. We want something to be done. If you guys need names in the petition wise, we'll do that.
We don't need that.
Okay.
Quite honestly, yeah.
But the thing is, something has to be done, and I just hope it doesn't take very long.
Appreciate that.
All right? Well, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank
just add a comment to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, for coming down here, but I encourage everybody, anytime you have a concern like that, just reach out. Reach out to one of us, reach out to me. I've had multiple stop signs added to the city of Brawley because people call for various reasons, and I can tell you that staff is very responsive, especially when I call or council members call. I mean, that's just the way it works. And so I encourage that, and I can tell you this with a lot of assurance that it's going to be reviewed and considered quickly. It's not going to take a petition, it's not going to take a whole lot of stuff, but I'll make sure that staff reviews it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, because like I said, Monica, they have contacted Monica. Just to me, it's just not fast enough. It's something that's, we're talking about November 14th. You never know when something can happen.
Mhm.
And, you know, like everything else, it's like any kind of,
Yeah.
there's bureaucracy that's involved, and there's steps and whatever. You know, just want to cut through some, not cut, but speed it up. If it's an issue,
item
it is, and it is a major issue. It
Max,
really
Max,
is.
it is an issue for us, and it was an important issue, and it's on item 5E of our agenda. We're going to discuss the stop signs and replacing the yield signs, and I believe Guillermo Cias is bringing something before us tonight to discuss
Okay.
that, so we will be making some decisions.
It's item E on the agenda.
Five.
All right, that's great to
5E.
hear.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's only as quick
Thank you.
whenever it comes before us. Safety is a major concern for all of us, so
All right, then.
we'll address it quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so any other public comments? Oh, no.
Councilmember.
Camila Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem from
Mayor Pro Tem from
Calexico.
Thank you, thank you. Hello, Mayor Couchman, Mayor Pro Temp, council, staff. I'm here for a couple of things. One, I heard that actually this is the best-looking council in the Imperial County.
You heard correctly, sir. You heard correctly.
You know what? I take issue to that. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I'm here because, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to make it 2 weeks ago for your council reorg. I really wanted to be here. Just to congratulate you on that transition, but then also at a personal level, I want to share some of my personal experience, and that goes especially addressed to my friend, and my mentor, Sam Couchman. Sam Couchman and I, have known each other for like about 15 years, and I can tell you that the reason why I'm in politics is because of him. So, and to me, that's something that makes me proud, something that, I want to share with you as a council and with the community, that Sam, it's a great man, and it's a great leader. I have had a chance to, again, working at a different level, learn from him. I know he's probably going to just, feel more than, well, he is already, probably giving you a hard time, in different things, but, nonetheless, again, he has been a great mentor, a great individual, a great leader. And, I can tell you that they're really lucky to have him as your mayor right now, and as part of this community. So with that, I just wanted to stop by, give him my best, Sam, and to all of you, and as a community, I think, this is part of, what we need to be doing, reaching out to each other. I think a lot of the issues that we have are very common to all of our communities. We always say that we're different, but that might be and the common things that, not common things that makes a community unique, but rather I think it's the issues are always the same. I just heard the gentleman, stating his concerns, and we have that, but I think we got to go past, that, and what I'm here also here for is to maybe start stretching our, I guess, friendships, going beyond a working relationship. I think, we are no longer able to subsist as a standalone city or cities. I think we need to collaborate more. Again, I was coming here as a private individual, but I guess I can also invite you to, as a mayor pro tem of the city of Calexico, I think we can do a lot. I think our economies, our demographics, our dynamics are very intertwined. The example that I always tell people is that, you guys have a huge company here, One World Beef, that employs, so many people from throughout the valley. We have issues, you have issues, so might as well sit down and talk about that. So, again, Sam, congratulations, council, best of luck in this new year, into the community. Happy holidays and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
we wish you
Camilo.
the same as well. Thank you for coming down here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the comments and the compliments.
Yeah, and we agree with you. He is a great guy, and he's been a good friend, so good job.
Well, and Camilo and his wife Hortensia are very involved in Calexico, and they're very much contributing members of that community down there, and that's important, I think, for the city of Calexico. So, thank you very much. Okay, so any other public comments? Okay, then we'll go to item 2D, which is the
Yes, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike?
Something that I've talked about with people in our church, we've been selling fireworks in our church since 1986, and we've been here as pastors 45 years. And something that I think we should think about doing, we have a great facility in the ball field of at the high school, or the cattle call arena. Why don't we think about doing fireworks, and not, in other words, a show, like they were making it at the high school, or Calipad High School has it, or they've had it as forever. I think it'd be good for our society, for our city. I saw that we had this activity for Christmas. I believe it was the first time that we had something like that happen. And from everybody I spoke to, there was something very successful. And it would be good for us to do it. The gentleman that from Calexico mentioned there's a company, One World Beef, and they're very proactive with cattle call. And there's other companies, and even our church, we'll give money towards that, so that we could, have this activity of fireworks, I don't want to, don't put out my fire, okay? And see what we could do about it, and any way we could meet or whatever and discuss it. Just an idea, okay? Thank you.
We can certainly talk about that, Pastor. I don't think the horses that they board down at the arena would be appreciative of the fireworks, but maybe there's other locations. So we can certainly talk about that. Thank you. All right. We'll move to item 2D, presentation to Linda Self, Recreation Coordinator for 30 years for her service to the city of Brawley, presented by Shirley. And Shirley will do some background for us.
Linda?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, audience. It is my honor and my privilege, here she comes, to honor a coworker, Linda Self. Linda started her service to the citizens of Brawley as a library aide in May of 1988. She was promoted to the part-time position of a library clerk on April 16, 1989. On May 28, 1991, Linda was hired as the secretary to Parks and Recreation, a permanent full-time position, and has worked in Parks and Recreation for the remainder of her career. On July 1, 2014, she was promoted to the position of Parks and Rec Coordinator, and in July of 2018, she was appointed as a Recreation Coordinator. Linda has decided to retire at the end of this year. She has over 30 years of service to this fine city, and we wish her well into retirement. Miss Linda Self.
Wow, 30 years is a long time, huh? I just want to say thank you. I do what I do because I love the citizens of Brawley. Rosanna Moore, our previous city manager, gave me the opportunity to become the recreation coordinator, or Parks and Recreation coordinator, and then the recreation coordinator. And I come to love that job. I love the kids. I've seen, since I've been in my career here, the kids that started, like when I first started, now they have kids in the program. And it's very rewarding to see. I've made some friendships here and met great coworkers. I'm going to miss here. I'm going to miss the city of Brawley, but it's time to move on to the next chapter of my life. So it's not goodbye. It's see you later.
Okay, right. We have a presentation for you, and we may have some comments from some of the
Yeah,
city council members.
definitely.
Why don't you just stand there and let
Okay.
them talk?
I said to Linda earlier today at the Parks and Rec meeting that each time someone with decades of service to our community retires, it leaves a big void, and it takes 2 or 3 people to fill that void anymore. I don't know why that is. So often when we lose somebody like that, it takes a few people to fill that void for a little bit until people get up to speed. But we really appreciate all the years that you put in to the kids, to the youth of Brawley, because they have been the next generation, and we really appreciate all that you've done, Linda.
Yeah. Linda, just, I did not know 30 years. Wow. I knew you were just there since the beginning that I remember with my kids. So, and you know that we have some of that in common with, that generation or that crop of kids that have come through. But I don't think a meeting goes by where we don't mention something about the things that we're proud of with the city of Brawley, and having our colleague come up from Calexico, and that's one area that besides, the good-looking council that was mentioned, is really, all jokes aside, how proud we have always been of our Parks and Rec program, and has direct relation to, I think, the quality of citizens that come from this city. So, Linda, I can't think of Parks and Rec without you. I feel bad because I think my only conversation we do is always around the swim pool, and but thank God, someone I know, the go-to, all these years, but. Appreciate everything that you've certainly done. Very excited for whatever the next chapter is. And I happen to know pretty well some important people in your life. So I think there's going to be some exciting times. But please do not be a stranger. We know we'll see you around. And but thank you for 30 years of dedication to the citizens.
Linda, it's a pleasure, and I'll tell you, 30-plus years, and you're only 35 years old. I don't know how you did that.
I don't know how I did that.
You started with the city when you were 4 and a half, you know what I mean? So, no, you look great, and I'm every interaction I've had with you has always been a positive one. I've always enjoyed our time. I know you work really hard, and you're well-regarded. And so, as my fellow council members have said, that experience, decades of experience, and the time commitment that you've made to the citizens, to the city, to everybody, and to yourself and your family, that's hard to fill. It's very hard to fill. But I want to thank you personally and professionally for your commitment to the residents, to us as a city council, to your fellow coworkers, to every employee here within the city, because what you do is a reflection of us. And your interaction with the public is a reflection of us. And so that's been very positive, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you for your hard effort and work over the past 3 decades plus. But I wish you very, very well. And heartfelt thank you to you and your family for the work contribution that you've made and the positive impact you've made for all of us. You're a reflection of us, and you're a reflection of me, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, and I think I would echo everything that all the council people have said. I think your extreme dedication to the city of Brawley and what you've done, and I know I will miss you personally and dealing with you at the Parks and Recreation Department and all of those types of things. And I know what it's like to work somewhere for 30 years, so I know how difficult it can sometimes be, but congratulations on your retirement. I know you'll have a good one, and I know you'll continue to do things here in the city of Brawley and with your family and all of that. And so I hope you do, and hope you continue that and have some very happy times. And so with that, I'll do the presentation.
Want to read it out loud, Mr. Mayor?
Certificate of appreciation. This certificate is hereby presented to Linda Self for 30 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Brawley, and it's signed by myself and the city manager. There's a little nice gold type pin that we give for 30 years of service.
Can we get a picture with Linda as well, please?
Yes, we will.
Mr. Mayor?
Come on.
This only happens once every 30
I know, it's once every 30 years, so this is an important moment for all of us. There you go.
Let's do one picture without the mask. I follow the rules. I think not all.
It's good looking.
Just don't breathe, Sam, don't breathe. We're gonna get pictures. Come on up, come on up.
Can we get one with Linda's family?
Yes, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course. Yes, you stop breathing when you're around Sam.
Yeah, my family's here.
Yeah.
You can take off your mask, please, for the family
take off
photo.
that.
Richard.
It was
Richard. Hey, Richard.
Photo.
Richard, put it back on.
Put the brass back on, Richard.
Sing it, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as soon as everybody says something, just a second. I don't know why I'm wearing this. Our second presentation will be to Gordon Gase, Development Services Director for 20 years of service to the City of Brawley, presented by Shirley Benias, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator.
Thank you, Gordon, for joining me. Gordon started with the city on November 27, 2001, as a Community Development Planner. His position was reclassified to a city planner in November of 2007 to reflect his actual duties with the city of Brawley. In 2008, when Gary Burrows was city manager, Gordon was designated as the planning director. In July of 2017, the city's building official retired, and Gordon was placed in charge of both the planning department and community development services, which includes building. In February of 2018, Gordon became our development services director and has served in that capacity to present. Gordon holds a bachelor's degree in geography with an emphasis in urban planning. It is my honor to present to you Gordon Gase.
Thank you, Shirley. Honorable Mayor, council members, wow, 20 years here. Seems like, some days it seems like it's only a couple, other days it seems like it's been forever.
30?
Yeah, right? Yeah, what's really, I literally appreciate the city offering me this job at the beginning and seeing the potential that I had. And what I really loved about the job, it's not a monotonous job. It's something different all the time. It's something you can wake up to and be like, oh, a new challenge, something new, something fun. But planning is one of those jobs where, sometimes you could see things result in the implementation within a year. Sometimes it takes decades. I mean, there's things that I started here 20 years ago that are still ongoing. And so that legacy outlives my tenure here also. And so it's time for, it's time for a younger generation to take over. I mean, the things that are going to happen, the decisions that need to be made should be made by people that are going to live through that time. So I just think it's time, to move on, and I'll still be around for a while and see all you guys. And I do agree you're the best looking council. However, I do think staff is a lot. The department heads.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's great.
Well, thank you very much. I'll let council members.
Yeah, Gordon, I would say the same thing to you as I did to Linda, which is that you have a wealth of knowledge, and it was the same with Francisco Soto. when guys like you retire, it's just, we're kind of up a creek until we can fill that void with a few people who study and figure out the history of Brawley, and there are times when nobody else will know what you know about infrastructure, where things are located that aren't notated on a map somewhere. And so, as always, we appreciate the work that you've done for and with the city of Brawley, and all those years of service have been something that's helped us put us on a trajectory, an upward trajectory that otherwise we would not be on. So we appreciate your hard work and your service to the city of Brawley.
Thank you. This is so important, even to have really two long-standing, really, again, kind of as you're mentioning, Luke, the years of service alone are impressive, but doing what you've done, Gordon, I think most people in the public will not maybe quite technically understand how involved that position is and how important it is to our quality of life. And I can only imagine from the time you started 20 years ago to where we are today, as you said, very well said, it's a legacy that continues on and nobody can take that away from you. There are difficult times, there were difficult meetings, there were difficult topics, but one thing that always was a constant, Gordon, was your talent, skill, and technical ability to make sure that you're putting the very best recommendation in front of the city, in front of the council, and for that have always been, very respectful and appreciative of that work. So we don't always say it, I know, but this is your moment, and I will say every time there's a retirement, so this goes to Linda too, I'm kind of envious. It's just kind of, wow, you made it to at least that milestone, and I know it's just the beginning. There's more to go, as George referenced. Neither of you are actually, you're not over the hill, so you got plenty to go, and so congratulations on that. Not just enjoying this moment, but really wish you the best, and I know whatever your endeavors are, that this will always be a chapter you can look back on, so I appreciate your service.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gordon, it's been a pleasure working with you over the past many years. And so, when I first started on council, it's going on 15 years, and you were here. And so I know I saw a lot of change, but I can only imagine all the change that you've seen from technology to where we are today, right? I mean, it's very different, very, very different. So I think the benefit is that you've also got to see how things can improve, and you've been part of that. And so there's a lot of things that aren't finished within the city that started over a decade ago, right? But we're starting to see that change, and you've been at the forefront of that. And for that, I thank you very much, and I appreciate you. Not everybody knows what a city planner does. It's a title that is often misunderstood by many. I happen to be married to one, so I do understand. You guys know everything, apparently, right?
That's what she said.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, because she's never wrong, right? Yeah. And so, but it's a multifaceted position to where you have to know a little bit and a lot of bit about a lot of things. And so, I truly do appreciate you and your role and the work that you do here. Maybe not everybody understands the position, but I can tell you it's a critical spot within the landscape of the city. And so I appreciate you very much. Thank you to your family as well for allowing you to be here and working for the city. And we appreciate them as well. So, Gordon, thank you very much. I congratulate you on the years of service, and I also congratulate you on the hard work that you have been doing and the change you've made within the community. So thank you. I know sometimes, look, Gordon, like anything, it's like in dealing with developers and everything, it gets heated and things like that, But ultimately, you work for the city and you work for the residents, right? And you've done a very, very good job in doing that and representing them and looking out for the best interest of this community. So thank you very, very much, and congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. In my 12 years of being on the council, I've come to you many, many times for information. You've always had it available. You've always been available to me in any time when I needed anything from the planning department. I do appreciate that greatly. I know the other council people do also. And I'm sure the citizens do also, that you're there with that kind of information. I will say that in the 20 years, you've guided Brawley through a lot of changes. There's been a lot of changes in Brawley in the last 20 years. There's been a lot of changes in Brawley in the last 50 years. I've been here through most of that and seen most of that, but I certainly know it's been a challenge from the city side, from planning, from development, from streets. Everything is always challenging. And I know you've met those challenges. You were here 20 years. You've done a great job with us, and you've been able to guide the city through a lot of different crises and issues, and then all the good things too that have come about from that, the growth in business, the growth in housing, all of those types of things. And so I do appreciate that on a personal level and on a professional level. And all I can say is thank you very much for your service.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just adding a little bit of color to the commentary, you think about even just the time I've been on council, you've had the Walmart, that entire development. You've had this newer development that's just across the street that's in the process now. You have the annexation of, where the pilot center's at. You have the Brawley bypass that's happened. You have all of these things, all the housing development that's come and gone and come again, right? There's so many things, all the street improvements and all the other issues that we've dealt with over the course of time. Just so many things that you've worked on and had a hand on. So I appreciate that very much. I think just to add color commentary for the public's knowledge, it's just a lot that you're involved in, so thank you.
Planning touches almost everything within the
Absolutely.
city, and I think
That's what makes it fun.
That means everything, yeah. Okay, so we'll do the presentation to you. We have a certificate of appreciation for you, and this certificate is presented to Gordon Geist for 20 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Brawley, signed by myself and the city manager. And we'll come down. Why don't you all come down a minute? And why don't we step over here and we'll take some pictures. I'm gonna take my mask off. I don't like pictures of the house. They're not gonna know who we are 20 years from now.
Let's look at Carlos first. Did you guys want to take a picture with him too?
Come on up. You're gonna take a picture with
Take a picture, or you?
Both. We're doing both.
Both, hang up and take a picture.
Get your family with you. Thank you, brother. Congratulations, too. Come on up.
Come on up and take a picture.
We'll stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, look at, she did her hair and everything, girl. I saw that. That's very cute.
married by
That's right there.
I took a message.
Beautiful. Congratulations to the two of you and your families.
Yes, very much. We do hope to see you around.
Yeah. Give them a moment to.
There, I will. You good? All right.
Those mail sheets pretty easy so
I guess I gotta wear this, but
now you know. Never trust the palm. That's right.
okay. So now we'll move to item 3 of our consent agenda. And so these items are approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. I do have a motion.
I make a motion?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. Now we'll go to item number 4, city manager report.
Just one brief item, Mayor, thank you. Last week, as we're all aware, we had Santa visit us for 4 days, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Chief York and his staff and the Santa's helpers that filled in for St. Nick, since Nick, he was pretty busy up in the North Pole, and Andrea was, Montano was broadcasting live every day, and so thank you all. It was a very huge success, and I got a lot of positive feedback. Thank you, that's all I have.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now we go to item number 5, regular business. An update on the City of Brawley declaration of local emergency as a result of COVID-19 pandemic by Mike York, Fire Chief.
Mayor Couchman, members of the council, and city staff. Brief update for the COVID-19 situation within the Imperial County. What we're seeing is our numbers continuing to climb. Just some highlights of that. What we're seeing in our hospitals have increased their surge capacity. They've added beds, they've added ICU beds. However, we're still seeing some heavy utilization. Almost 75% of our surge capacity is being used currently. Our ICU is full at both hospitals with 0 available beds, and they have upped the number of ventilators, but we're using about 50% of them. So it's still a very serious situation, and it's being monitored very closely. As for the variants within the Imperial County, we still have yet to record any of the much talked about Omicron variant. We're still dealing quite a bit with the Delta variant with over 900 cases. And as everybody's aware, and we're all wearing our masks back again, on 12/15/2021, the California Department of Public Health reissued a universal indoor masking requirement regardless of vaccination status. The Imperial County Health Officer mirrored that with a local order. That order is set to expire January 15th, 2022, unless extended for cause. If there's any questions, I will do my best to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5B, discussion and potential action to approve amendment number 4 to solid waste disposal and recycling franchise agreement with Allied Waste Transportation Services of Imperial, presented by Tyler Salcedo, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Every year, Republic Services, per the franchise agreement, there's an agreement, a clause in there to raise the rates based on a certain metrics. Currently, every year, like I said, the Consumer Price Index from the U.S. Department of Labor is the CPI for all urban consumers of the western urban area, size B/C. That current rate is 6.3. It's pretty high. It's been low over the last few years, but this time, based on multiple factors of the U.S. economy, et cetera, it's increased significantly. So before you, the amendment would establish a new, more indicative CPI metric. It's the CPI for water and sewer and trash collection services. That current rate is 3.7%. And also the amendment would establish a maximum cap increase on any given year to 4%. So that's before you for your consideration to amend the franchise agreement based on, with those items.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments?
I do.
Questions?
Questions. With respect to the franchise agreement that we do have in place with the Republic Services, when is the expiration of that agreement?
2026.
Okay. And would it change any, if we were to agree to change that section of the agreement, would that cause any other part of the agreement to be extended or change in any way?
I will defer to the city attorney, but I believe not.
No, specifically, this amendment would specifically reaffirm all the other provisions in the franchise agreement.
Okay. Any other questions from any other council members? Any questions from members of the public? Any additional comments? What's the council's pleasure?
Well, the city manager's recommendation is to approve the first reading, right? And so, no, excuse me,
The amendment.
Is the amendment.
The amendment.
So, is any concern from council? Do you, Mr. Mayor, have any?
I don't have any concerns, do you?
I'm ready to make a motion and move forward and support the amendment, but I think it's no mystery to most of the public of what the current economic situation the entire country is obviously going through. But
Exactly.
But besides that, I think as a council, principally speaking, we've been pretty conservative about these type of potential amendments or increases. So I just want to state, for at least with my past experience, we've been extremely sensitive to that. And when I read through this item, I'm prepared to move forward knowing that that is typically the stance, but I think it's really also important. This is one of those many services I always mention. When it doesn't work right, you'll know about it. And to me, I think it's no mystery that the cost of doing business is, I'm sure outpacing even the CPI request here. So with the amendment.
Okay, so do you have a motion?
Unless there's another comment, I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
And there's a second. Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion from council? Any discussion from the public? Anything on the thing? No. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstains? Nope. Okay, motion carries. Okay. So we're on item 5C, discussion and potential action to approve Republic Services 2022 rate adjustment to commercial accounts for the implementation of SB 1383 Cal Recycle Mandatory California Organic Recycling Program, presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director. That's a mouthful, right
That
there.
is a mouthful. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members, and members of the public. My name is Carla Romero. I'm the Finance Director. I get to do the hard one. So on top of the CPI increase, that would translate also to commercial members or commercial customers. There's this organic waste recycling component that we've been discussing. I was joking with George. I turned around and said he's going to become part of our family because he's been here. I think this is the 4th council meeting now in a row.
There's only room for one George, I'm sorry.
That he's been joining us. But so we discussed what the organic waste components were at the beginning of November, and then we presented to you. Sorry, I have to take this off. This is not letting me breathe. First reading of an ordinance on November 16th, and then a second reading, the last meeting in December 7th. That ordinance does go into effect at the beginning of January. This is an unfunded state mandate for us to increase our reduction of superpopulants, decrease food insecurity, expand or implement new recycling programs, and increase the organic product recycling within the city. And this applies to all cities within the entire state of California. What is happening, though, is with that implementation, there are additional costs associated with that are then passed on to the consumer for those services because, again, it's an unfunded state mandate. As discussed at one of our earlier meetings, there also aren't any real grants to support this. So what Republic is doing is they're subsidizing the initial implementation year. The letter attached gives you a rate closer to $95, excuse me. But they're proposing to do a $45 a month increase for commercial Tier 1 customers. Starting January. And I know George is here, and I picked his brain a little bit, and we asked him a few questions just about implementation. The rate that is referenced in the staff report is for your standard 3-yard bin. There are multiple rates depending on how large your bin is or how frequently your products are picked up every week, but that's usually the standard rate for a commercial business. So happy to take any questions I can possibly answer, or George is here to help me out too, I'm sure.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? Just a statement, I hope this all works, but I have my doubts, okay? But, I mean, and not a reflection on Republic or anybody else, I just think statewide it's going to be a problem. I've seen, what happens, and it doesn't appear to me to be a very logical move, but maybe with education, people will comply. I think people are going to be concerned about the additional cost and the additional time and the effort that they have to take in order to recycle these items. But we'll see. This is an impact on commercial, but I'm sure eventually it'll have an impact on the general public. And so hopefully this will succeed. I want it to succeed, but I also know the reality of the situation. And so we'll see how this goes. Any other questions? You had a question?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
Begrudging.
I'll move to approve the first reading of ordinance 2022, no, wait. I'll move to approve the Republic Services 2022 rate adjustment to commercial accounts for the implementation of SB 1383 reluctantly.
Can I have some discussion on that, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
if you'd like.
Well, there isn't a second yet, right? Should
No,
we wait
there's
for
no
that?
second.
Should we wait for that?
We can wait.
I wanted a second with comment, and just if I can throw the comment in real quick. I do appreciate, the only thing out of this whole report and recommendation is Republic stepping up and really subsidizing what appears to be half the cost. So I think, again, it's really important for the public, and our provider is trying to play a central role in mitigating as much of this as possible, and I hope that that part of the partnership continues, but I already expressed myself, I think, a few meetings ago about how I felt about the unfunded mandate, but yeah.
And this is another unfunded mandate from the state of California, just so we're clear on all that. Is that a second?
That's my second with comment.
All right, second with comment, okay. Any other discussion?
Just actually a question with respect to commercial accounts, that would be all commercial accounts that we're referencing within the city of Brawley?
No, the first phase is just for the tier 1 customers. And so there's a tier 2. So tier 1 is like supermarket, grocery stores, food service providers, food distributors, wholesale food vendors.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
tier 2 includes hotels.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Oh.
Just a point of clarification, it is for commercial customers that have volume greater than 2 cubic yards.
Thank you.
Okay.
So there'll be some customers that will be exempt from this, but
Understood.
Commercial customers with 2 yards or greater
Thank you.
will be in the program.
Okay.
That's why I like you, George.
There you go.
It's not just the hairstyle.
Oh, boy. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Item 5D, discussion and potential action to approve first reading of ordinance 2021, ordinance of the City of Brawley, California, regulating motor vehicles with advertising signs, presented by William Smearden, City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we was asked to prepare an ordinance to regulate the practice of parking vehicles with large signs on them for months and weeks at a time in public parking spots. There's several throughout the city. They've been here for a long, long time. What happens is they get moved from place to place, from spot to spot. This ordinance would limit parking a vehicle like that to 1 hour. And if when it's moved, it has to be moved at least 100 yards, or it might as well have stayed there. You'll get a warning, and after that, if you violate the ordinance, the vehicle will be impounded. It can be a misdemeanor violation. But the problem is these vehicles are parked, especially around the plaza and by the hospital, where parking is often a premium. Not every day, but often. My wife and I both have businesses here, and parking on the plaza is very difficult in the evening, and these vehicles are here all the time. It has it's content neutral, so it doesn't matter what your sign is, what you're advertising, what your message is. You know, and the reason for the 1 hour limit is you might have a legitimate reason that you need to park, but we're going to not allow public parking spaces to be used for advertising campaigns.
And if I may add, potentially it's a safety hazard too, just out here with staff and post office business coming in and out, the big vehicles there you cannot see. Same thing on Legion. You try to pull out in a busy street, and it's hard to see, and these things do not move.
Correct. And I think it is a safety hazard, because I pull out of this parking lot quite a bit, because I come over to the city quite a bit, and that is a hazard.
Right.
And I don't want to specifically point out anyone or any one sign. I just think it's a hazard. If you want to park on private property and have a big sign, I'm willing to maybe concede that might be okay. But on a public street and public parking, I don't think it's logical to allow that to continue.
So this ordinance would also apply to city-owned parking lots. Now, it's important to understand that these ordinances have been tested in other cities, big cities. They pass constitutional muster.
Okay.
Decals, license plate frames, bumper stickers, that's not what we're talking about. It's large placards that exceed the vehicle size, they're going to be restricted.
Certainly. You answered my question, so I'll make a motion to approve the item.
I entertain a second.
I'll
second it.
Unless you had a comment. Yeah. That's a second.
That's a second? Okay, okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? Any discussion from the council? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. Item 5E, discussion and potential action to adopt ordinance 2021, ordinance of the City of Brawley, California, establishing the installation of four-way stop signs at the intersection of Cesar Chavez Street with H and I Street, and replace yield signs with stop signs at the intersections of Cesar Chavez Street with G Street and J Street, presented by Guillermo Cias, Public Works Director. Guillermo.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. This item is related to the request of the gentleman during the public comments regarding the installations of devices to reduce speeding along Cesar Chavez mainly. And so we took that request, and city managers asked us to review the history on that street. Police department was able to retrieve some of the information from previous collisions and accidents. And the traffic safety committee meeting had a meeting, and we discussed the item, and we came to the conclusion that due to the configuration of that street with the Hinojosa Park, Hidalgo Society building, and some other features of that particular street, it is convenient for the safety of the public to install four-way stops at both corners of Hinojosa Park, which is H Street and I Street intersections, and also to replace the yield signs that are on the perpendicular streets approaching Cesar Chavez, replace them with stop signs. And what you have in front of you is the ordinance to do those replacement and make them part of municipal code. Any questions that you have?
Any questions from the council?
Just a question with respect to installation. If this is approved, how soon would that be?
I believe that there's a time frame for the ordinance to be into effect.
Right,
And after that, it will be immediately because we have the materials on the department. So as soon as it is fully approved, so we can install it within the next week, let's say.
Perfect, thank you.
After the second reading, we can do it the next
Perfect.
day.
Okay, so it's maybe within the next 30 days or so.
Right.
Right, very well, thank you.
Okay. And I think that seems to be what the public is asking for, so I think that's probably a good thing. And
But when you think about it, I mean, I know there's public comments, so that's why I encourage people to say something, right? But you have to think of vehicles too.
Correct.
They're a lot faster than they were 30 years ago, you know, and so they are different, you know. The vehicles that we drive are just very different. You know, speedometers didn't typically say 120 miles an hour. Now they do frequently on any new car, right? And so not that they go 120 miles an hour, but you wouldn't see that. You'd see 85 top speed, and now that seems like to be the cruising speed on a freeway. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just different. But anyway, that's just a side comment.
I would ask.
Electric vehicles, you won't even hear them coming.
Right?
Yeah, that's
true. Very true. Very different world we live in today, yeah.
I would like us to get that out on social media and other things so that people, because sometimes when you put up four-way stops, people run the stop signs because they don't know they're there. So as much awareness as we can bring to people within the city, as much as we can educate, have the police involved in that area, maybe with parked car or whatever, just to try to make sure people are complying. Because I can see some accidents happening because it's four-way stopping too, and people aren't aware of it.
Very true.
And so sometimes it takes an educational process to get that done. So maybe social media and whatever we can do to try to get that out, or maybe a press release, something that says that we're doing that on that street. So cut down the traffic, cut down the speed. Everybody speeds down that street, I can tell you.
We
I've
need
seen
to
them
vote
come
on it
roaring
first,
down
Mr.
through there.
Mayor, before
Yes,
the press
I
release.
understand that. Okay, so with that, we have a motion.
There was a motion, right? I made the motion? No? There was no motion
No,
on that one?
no.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
second it.
second. I have a second.
I had one other question though before we
Yes,
vote.
go ahead.
Are there any crosswalks on Cesar Chavez right now, near Hinojosa or Hidalgo?
That's a very good question. I don't remember for sure that on Hinojosa, along Hinojosa Park, there is a sidewalk because we installed recently, probably 3 or 4 years ago, we did the renovation of the park and we installed sidewalk.
But I mean crosswalks.
Oh, you mean
across
crosswalk?
Cesar Chavez?
I don't think so.
No, there is.
That might be useful
That might be
there.
something that we should
Right,
look at doing in the future with some flashing lights like we have on Main.
Or even
Near
just
the
a
park.
crosswalk, yeah.
Or just a crosswalk,
Just for
very
now,
high
yeah.
visible
Yeah.
crosswalk.
Even now.
Right.
Maybe to make people
Right.
aware that. that is
Along
a
with the
crosswalk.
stop signs, there will be stop bars and the legend on the ground that says
The
stop.
the white line,
White line.
That'll be
uh-huh.
helpful also.
Right. No crosswalk, but
Yes.
there will be those, but we can install those crosswalks instead of the stop bar and the legend. We can do crosswalks too.
Okay,
Might
yeah.
talk about where-
Why don't we
which
talk about it?
intersections
Why
would
don't
be
we
good.
see it first?
Let's
and
see
see-
where we go with
Yeah.
that and maybe
Good
just look
idea,
into
though.
that, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion
Thank you.
carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
staff.
you.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Thank you, Steve.
Councilmember Hamby, were you the second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I missed it, sorry. Okay.
And thank you,
Okay.
staff, very much.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. We're on 5F, discussion and potential action to approve the American Rescue Plan Act, spending plan, and associated budget adjustments presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director. Carla, you're up.
Back. Thank you once again, Honorable Mayor. Tonight, I will be presenting to you a concise update on the American Rescue Plan and our proposed uses of that funding source. So today's let me give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to do today. These funds need to mostly be expended by December 31st of 2024, so 2 years basically from today. Water and wastewater infrastructure can be spent in 2 additional years, which is December of 2026. There are 2 additional years because these funds are subject to federal guidelines. That means prevailing wage, lots of oversight, RFPs, competitive bidding, lots of auditing, reporting requirements, and so those in particular usually automatically take a longer time to do anyway, and we do have some of those as proposed plans or proposed expenditures. And some of the expenses that we're going to discuss tonight are also subject to increases at the end of basically next month. And so we need to have some sort of plan or approval of those expenditures so that we can move forward and bring them as approval at our next council meeting in order to continue with that process and not have to pay more than necessary. We also want to allow and encourage the public to provide us input on the proposed plan. Tonight, as you heard, we did have a public comment. As people have reached out to me, both employees or union representatives, to myself and our city manager, we have sat with them one-on-one, discussed different components of the proposal or what is eligible or not eligible and why. So we are encouraging that to continue. You'll notice at the end, but just because we have a plan doesn't mean the plan can't change. Similar to a budget, priorities will change. We might have expense overruns or expense savings, which we can be reallocated as well. So what we want you to think about tonight as we go through the plan is certainly stop me if you have any questions. All of our executive team was a part of putting together the proposed plan, and they have details on the proposed expenditures. I can probably get you enough information, but if you want some exact details on specifications, I've got some backup here with me. We want to know if you adamantly disagree with any of the proposed expenses, especially in that high priority item, which are the ones that would be funded initially. And then if you think that any of those medium or low priority items should be reconsidered and moved to a higher level. That would mean that we would have to unfund some of those in the higher level priority item to be able to do that. But certainly want to hear that feedback. So let's start with an overview of the ARPA spending plan. ARPA stands again for American Rescue Plan Act. The plan, again, was based on the guidance provided by the U.S. Treasury, and it did have input from all the executive team, which are all of your directors and your city manager. Why does the plan exceed the amount of available funding? Our available funding is about almost 6.3 million, and the plan has more expenditures because we just have more needs and we do available funds. Some high priority level expenses have already been reduced, and I will discuss what those are and why. And any potential savings, as I mentioned earlier, could then move the needle for some of those medium priority items or new items that may arise throughout the process of implementation. We did assign a priority level because we did have expenses or items that exceeded the amount of funding that we had. So we had the hard task of figuring out, well, which ones really are the highest priority level and why. So those high priority items, items number 1 would be funded. They are critical to enhance operations or replace outdated infrastructure that has been identified by staff. Medium ones may be funded, and they would augment operations if they could be funded. And then the lower priority items, we'll try to seek other funding sources. They could potentially be included in next year's budget. They're not critical, but they would certainly enhance the services that we provide. The document does have a detailed description of everything, but I'm going to keep it really high level in my presentation. The way that they're identified in detail is that they're organized by high priority, and then also from the highest amount to the lowest amount within each level. Definitely not most important to least important. They're just categorized that way. So let's talk a little bit about the high priority level projects, and this is where I'm going to spend the most of the presentation. There's 2 slides similar to this. The number of projects are noted on the left. The types of projects are noted in the middle. The total funding for those projects, and then the percentage of the total $6.3 almost $1 million. So for water and wastewater infrastructure, we are asking for about $3.4 million to be attributed to those upgrades. We have the water line on Main Street from 8th Street to Eastern Avenue that could potentially be replaced and augmented with some Highway 111 relinquishment funding for the pavement portion. The ARPA funding does not allow for pavement management or overlay, but it only allows for the infrastructure beneath it. And this would complete that portion of the project if funded. I believe Guillermo also has some grant funding that he has solidified or has in place for this as well. And then we have water meters and backflow installation program for businesses. Part of the program allows or recommends that we help businesses that have been affected and impacted by COVID and operationally. And so we also, these businesses, there's 150 of them that do not have water meters in place, and some also, 80% of them require backflows. If we funded all of them, it would be $2.5 million. So probably not able to do all of them, but we do recommend setting aside at least $500,000. We would develop a program in order to help them install those water meters and backflows. It would have to be on a first-come, first-served basis. Again, it requires documentation as to how the businesses was impacted by COVID, but it would kind of have like a double improvement. It would help the city do their water improvements that are necessary, and also the business on their side, so that when they go to sell that property or business, the new owner isn't obligated to do the installation. And then the city itself also has some backflows that are outdated and need to be repaired, and so that is also recommended for funding, and that's $96,000. Any questions on the water infrastructure projects?
Familiar with all these projects, well, most of them did get talked about, but those are some big ticket items, so, for sure.
For under the public health response category, we do have one fire engine apparatus that we would like to purchase to replace an older engine that would then become a reserve engine. The reserve engine would then be surplus or donated to a different organization or the county for training purposes. That cost is about $630,000 alone. And then there are 4 fully equipped police units that are also on the recommendation for about $380,000. And then the last 2 are either mobile digital signs with trailers that could be placed at any one of the incoming points of entry to our city to provide information regarding public health orders or any other incident that the city might have in the future. or events, whatever the city might need to communicate to the public. We are also recommending that there be some sort of permanent digital sign near the plaza for the same purpose. You may have noticed we have our trailer out again for the fireworks notice, but that could really be used for to tell people about public meetings, other events, or promote other community activities that are going on. So those are the 4 items that are recommended within public communication or public health response. And then we also have 11 broadband improvements. It was really interesting to hear from the executive team that broadband technology and improvements were top of mind, and they really wanted them because it could help the efficiencies of how they're providing services. It makes things more secure. It augments what they're currently doing, and it allows staff to work more productively. So we have 11 total items here for Mr. Armando to help implement. One of them is the encryption technology for our public service radio system. This was actually approved back in July, and so that is a part of a program that's already funded. And then we have the citywide phone system. Right now, I'll give you an example. In the finance department, we have 2 phone lines, 9 employees, and we have sometimes a lot of incoming calls and we can't make calls out. And so what this does is it integrates that and maybe broadens the amount of phone lines that we have. It would allow us to have phone prompts so that people can say, if you want to turn on service, press 1, or if you want to do this, press 2, or, you know.
You want to complain?
You want to
press-
complain,
go
contact
straight to-
Carla.
Straight to Sam's phone.
Or Tim's number, give them that.
You know, and what it'll also allow us to do is to transfer calls between departments. Right now, I have to say, oh, you want to speak with Parks and Recs? Hang up and you're going to dial blah, 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 blah. And so this would allow us to transfer calls between departments also. And so it would really enhance the way that we
Which is-
communicate internally.
It's an expected, you know,
Feature.
technology feature that we should have, you know, so.
And then the rest of the items regarding firewall, fiber connection upgrades, wireless bridge upgrades, and cybersecurity upgrades. Any questions on these? Okay. Perfect. And then we have 2 last items. We have our revenue loss replacement. Essentially, what the guidelines allow you to do is to go back. I went back 4 years, and then the 2 current years after the pandemic. So 4 years prior, 2 years current pandemic, and it allows you to replace any revenue lost during that time. Those calculations have come out to about $2.3 million. And again, we're not recommending a $2.3 million loss revenue replacement because that would take up a big chunk of the money that we have, but we are recommending that at least $500,000 be recuperated from that loss replacement of revenue. And then last but not least is the organizational excellence and the premium pay that was mentioned earlier by our caller, Ruth. We are recommending that current full-time employees receive a one-time non-pensionable stipend of $2,500, and then permanent part-time employees receive $1,000. What that equates to is $350,500 total, roughly. And it
Carla,
doesn't,
I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
this is probably the opportune time to explain why
Yes.
March was.
Certainly, I can do that. So it's a total of 147 employees. And the reason March was the date that we selected is because finance, during the month of, the end of December and January, we have these little things called 1099s, W-2s, federal and state compliance reporting. We also are finishing our audit. We also are still assisting other departments with the implementation of all of the other ARP expenditures. I mentioned earlier that there's some that we need to kind of move pretty quickly on before they cost us more. And so finance has to help do all of that paperwork in order to make sure all of our ducks are in a row and we don't have to repay any of this money in the future. We are still implementing a timekeeping system and a business license module. So we're a little bit busy, but then on top of that, no money's free money, and I know I've mentioned that before. So the guidelines for premium pay require all employees to fill out an affidavit or an affirmation that they were impacted by COVID at the workplace and how. And so I would have to gather that from all employees. And so what I'm proposing to do is to have a sheet that they can kind of do a check mark. But I have to formulate all of that, and I didn't want to assume that all of this would be approved and start moving forward with all of those additional paperwork that needs to be put in place. And so in order to get that all developed and then returned, verified, and some employees may not want to pay taxes now, they might want to be exempt, so then we have to change their tax payment status in between payroll periods and then change it back again. So it's a lot of work for us to do this one-time payment, but we do see the importance of it. And we're willing to do that, but it's not as easy as just flipping a switch and adding it to a paycheck, because employees, we're going to have to kind of in a separate payment. I hope that answers that question.
Okay, it does, thank you.
So if we go back and we talk about those two reduced items, if we add those two reduction amounts together, it's about $3.8 million, again, in those high priority items. If we were to have added everything as clearly identified or the potential full impact, we would have had a total program of about $12.8 million. That's double what we received. So again, that's where it becomes really, really difficult. And the recommendations at the end of the day really are to improve the daily work environments for the employees, provide the essential tools and upgrades to be more efficient, more responsive, more productive, and also recognize that revenue loss and the continuity of services provided by staff. So I won't spend as much time on these, but the next two slides are the medium and the low priority items. They are noted within the report. Again, if we had savings in the low priority, some of these high priority items would be brought forth for consideration to be moved up in the priority ranking and funding. Some of them may be partially funded and then subsidized with other funding sources that we have in order to get them done if we are able to find savings in high priority items. Same concept for these lower priority items. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a plan that can be amended and ultimately will be amended based on the progress. And so we want to hold ourselves accountable to you and to the public for what it is that you hopefully will approve tonight. And so what I'd like to do is provide you an update every 6 months, every June, every December, until all of the funds are expended. And kind of the similar format and fashion that we did tonight. And hopefully that works. And I can certainly add additional components as we go along. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Any questions from the council?
It's obviously more of a comment. All of my questions that I noted or was going to ask were answered in the presentation right to the end. So Carla's always appreciative of that. And I think made it very digestible and understandable on again, how we're able to approach these type of what would be considered one-time events. So also lauding staff on, I know there's work involved to come up with these estimates and these numbers and really rating this. So appreciate that and hope members of the public that get a chance to view some of the material in the backup as well as that maybe experience the PowerPoint presentation provides pretty darn good perspective of where we're going. So thank you.
Can you imagine being the finance director and your boss is a former finance director? That's wrong.
That's right.
That's wrong. I applaud you for that. Yeah.
Once a finance director.
Yeah,
always a
right. It's
finance
always.
director.
That is
Let
true.
me see that again. Right?
That is exactly what happened.
There you go. See exactly what happened.
Oh, boy.
There you go. All right. So, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments? Anybody else? I think the fact that we're prioritizing Main Street is a good thing. Infrastructure for Main Street has been a discussion that I've been at the last 12 years that I've been on here, and we still haven't come to a fruition on that. I hope that that does come to pass and that we can get that through and correct some of the issues that we do have with Main Street. I think the public would see that as a priority. And then I also think there's some other priorities here that they may not see, but I think they're still important for the operation of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Mayor, just proactively, one of the last items, and I came up with our public comment about the organizational excellence piece. I think it's really important also. I think we as council carefully considered that with staff, and it goes without saying, going through what some of these very classified essential workers that were on the front line, and that's many unsung heroes from early in the pandemic stage, when we were pretty much had no clue where this was all going, fast forwarding all the way to where we are today. So again, albeit, these funds and they're qualified, they're allowed, it probably can never be enough, but I do appreciate my fellow council members and staff that were able to do something.
And I do think many organizations are doing some of the same things that we're doing, and they're also struggling with some of the same things that we're struggling with. And so I'm hoping that everybody benefits in some way from all of this, and that the city certainly benefits, which is what our main priority is, as you all are aware. So thank you very much for the report. Very nice.
Do we need we don't need, that was just, do we need
I think we have to, we
Yes,
need action
we
to
need some
approve
action.
that spending plan was.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the recommended plan as presented.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Okay, now we'll go to item 5G, discussion and potential action to adopt ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, amending Brawley Municipal Code to repeal and replace Chapter 24, Articles 8, Utility User Tax, presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director, and William Smirden, City Attorney.
Thank you again. One more item, one slide. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the ordinance itself. I can if you'd like, but it was presented in detail on September the 7th, and there have been no changes to the ordinance itself after that presentation. We did that because it needed to be presented as to how we would implement the utility user tax should it pass, and it did pass on November the 2nd. We certified those election results on September the 7th. What this ordinance does, then, it repeals the current ordinances from 1992 and 1998 and all of basically Chapter 24, Article 8 within the municipal code, and replaces it with this new ordinance that is before you tonight. The first reading would be tonight. The second reading would be at a council meeting in January. I didn't put a date, only because of one of the final items that you have for consideration tonight of potentially canceling the next meeting. But basically, the ordinance would be effective 30 days thereafter. So with all that in play, we would start communication with our vendors in February. We are proposing to send out 2 different letters, one to let the current people that are remitting and collecting know that the sunset has gone away. The rate is the same, and they should continue to remit the utility user tax as they have been to the city. The second one is for any potential new rate payers in order to implement the tax effective June 1st. It does require a 90-day waiting period even after the utility user tax is effective, because it's considered a new component within the tax measure. And so those you can't just implement immediately. There's a 90-day kind of waiting period to notify and to allow them basically to change their systems and implement the tax when it becomes effective.
Is that going to be a problem when the one sunsets and the other one begins?
It's the same rate. I think if it was a different rate, it would maybe be a little bit trickier, but the rate is the same and the remittance is the same.
So there wouldn't be a gap?
No.
Okay.
There's no gap.
Okay.
No, it would just continue.
Okay.
So the summary of the updates are on your right, and I'm happy to go over them or answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Any other discussion? Questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, 5H, discussion and potential action to approve an additional services agreement to purchase 6 flock safety license plate recognition cameras with 36-month software support, renew the software support for 16 existing ALPR cameras for an additional 36 months, approve a 2-year additional services agreement for Raven Technology, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreements for the Brawley Police Department, presented by Jimmy Duran, Police Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city manager, and public. Today, we come before you with another request to upgrade our existing license plate reader system. As you know, it's been very successful throughout the years. Since its inception in 2019, we currently have 16 cameras, so back then we added those cameras, but as you know, we've been able to solve quite a few crimes, to include homicides with these cameras. So they're definitely an asset for the community, for police services, and for public safety overall for what we do. I think this is a good way of leveraging new types of technology, and that's something that we're doing and we're going to continue to do. So what this does, it adds on 6 additional cameras to what we have, and this will definitely make us more effective out there in the field. And in addition to that, we were able to talk to Flock Technologies, and this is something that we've been working with them on, because of course they wanted us to do a longer contract, they wanted more cameras, but at the end, they were able to allow us to test the Raven system. Raven system is gunshot detection technology, and as you know, those tools are very effective. They were first seen operational in the Middle East. You may have seen reports, or even the news and stuff like that. Now it's finally trickling in into into pretty much back home now. So this technology is being applied in police service, and of course a few years back it was very expensive. Now it's greatly reduced in price. Now, the good thing is we can test the system for a whole year for free, and that will be part of this contract here that we're looking at. Now, if you're not familiar with that system, what it does, and it detects a gunshot to really, the GPS is so accurate that it'll allow us to pinpoint it to 10 feet of the distance where the shot was fired. So it's actually pretty good. I haven't seen a full... I haven't seen an effect anywhere. I've seen videos, of course. I've seen the presentations, but it would be nice to see it in person. Now, something that I asked the vendor is like, will this work for fireworks? So they believe it does work for fireworks. They say it does, but again, I will not be able to confirm that until we put it into tests, which if you approve this today, we can have it pretty much up and running by next month, hopefully mid-month or maybe towards the end of the month. Now, as to the cost, since we were part of the initial batch on getting on this technology back in 2019, we are getting a price discount. So for the 16 existing cameras that we have, that's $96,000 to extend the contract for 3 years. So we're getting a pretty good deal there. And for the 6 cameras that we're adding, they're coming at an additional cost for $54,000 for a total of $150,000. So that will be the financial impact. The good part is, as we've done in the past, we are using federal funding again. So the first cameras were purchased with federal funding. Now this 3-year extension will be once again used. We'll be using Stone Garden funding, which is federal funding, and a little bit of COPS grant funding. So at this point, it will be really no cost to the city. So if you have any questions about this technology, I'm hoping I can answer as best I can.
I'd just like them to change the name of that safety license plate recognition thing, because saying that through a mask is not pleasant.
I know. It is.
Okay. All right. I don't really have any questions. I think it's probably a good system. If we could detect fireworks, that will be a plus.
Well, let's
for the
hope. We'll put it to the
public out
test. I'm
there. If
assuming the bigger
maybe
ones we
just say
can.
that
I
we
mean,
can, and then we can
yes,
go from there maybe.
Yeah, but at this point, it promises gunshots. That is their promise.
And it doesn't impact the general fund, so I think we're
does not.
happy about that because it is grant and federal funding. So, any questions from the council?
The Chief, I think the questions will be answered moving forward, but I think, again, just the ability to test drive something like that technology for an entire year is almost, I think, a no-brainer. And if it holds true, really can be a game changer, not just for us as a community, but I would imagine that would be pretty widespread.
Yes, and just to add on to what you just said, we are already working on identifying some grants that hopefully we can use to pay for that technology if we prove that it is effective in our community.
That'd be nice.
So we're hoping that we can do that, so.
Okay.
Chief, is any other city in the county or the county using Raven technology yet?
We'll be the first ones in the county.
Okay.
Maybe the second now.
Oh, man, I spoke too loud here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the cameras as well as their Raven test period of 12 months.
Okay.
I'll second.
There's a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. Okay, 5I, discussion and potential action to award a professional engineering services agreement to design Western Avenue project from Wildcat Drive to Legion Street and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement presented by Guillermo Cias, Public Works Director. Guillermo?
Good evening again. This item is for the design of Western Avenue with federal funds that we received in an application in 2019 from CMAQ, which is for pretty much items related to air quality and emission reduction. This project was advertised for the design, and we received 3 proposals from Lee and Rowe, Dynamic Consulting Engineers, and LC Engineering Consultants. And after reviewing the proposals, the participants in the panel for scoring, we came to the conclusion that it will be the proposal of LC Engineering the most that received more points. And so we are recommending to award to LC Engineering for the design of Western Avenue. With this project, it will be completed pretty much around Walmart. We recently completed the construction of Wildcat with the same type of funds. And we are currently on the design process for Legion Street from Highway 86 to Western Avenue. And this part, Western Avenue, will be from Wildcat to Legion, so it will complete around that area, allowing access to the subdivisions that are to the north of Walmart, to the east, and potentially later on to the south. Okay. Any questions that you have? There's a city portion that will be close to $23,000 that will match for a match of $177,000 for a total of $200,000, which are the total for this project.
And this is a budgeted capital item already in the budget for this year.
That's correct.
Project. Provided we move forward tonight, Guillermo, just estimate on when's this work looking to be completed?
It will be the design portion by the month of February.
Very good.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, do we have a motion? Any other questions? No. Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Second. Motion second. Okay. Any discussion from the audience? Not. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 5J is discussion and potential action regarding the January 4th, 2022 regular city council meeting date.
Mayor, I'll handle this item. For your consideration, the proposal to potentially cancel the January 4th meeting. Based on the calendar, the way it falls this year with the holidays and into 2022 and meetings, there are, let's see, 3, 4, 5 business days that are open to prepare the agenda. And with discussing with the executive team about what's coming up in New Year, there are no emergency items or that couldn't be handled on the 22nd. So we're asking if you would consider the postponement or the elimination, I guess, of the January 4th meeting.
And go to only the 18th?
18th?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the meeting after the holiday, right?
Yes.
That would be after the Martin Luther King holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, the 17th, I think, is the Martin Luther King holiday. And we have no problem with making that meeting, as far as we know. Okay. What's the pleasure of the council on this?
I'm personally, with the recommendation coming from staff on what we're looking at coming up, if that recommendation is we're able to, in a timely fashion, there isn't anything super time sensitive, I'm okay with the second meeting. Sounds fine.
I'm assuming that we could call a special meeting if we had to, if sufficient
If needed,
time
yeah.
allows itself and if needed.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm okay with it, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
either.
fine with me.
What do you think, George?
That's fine.
Okay, sounds good, okay. You don't need a potential action, do you need a motion on this? No. Just direction to staff.
Just give us direction.
Direction to staff. So we'll go with the January 18th meeting and we'll just cancel the January 4th.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, item number 6, city council member reports. Starting with Mr. Luke.
Yes. My first council member report is not being the mayor this year, so this is nice. Not a whole lot to report. I was able to attend a library board meeting, and one of our board members, Crystal Duran, who's also the county librarian, is moving away, so she's relinquishing her position both with the county library and on the library board, so we'll be looking for other applicants for that board position. I attended a Parks and Rec meeting today in which we sent off Linda Self. Well, here at the end of the month, she'll be retiring. And also attended an enjoyable Christmas party at the library outside, and had a nice turnout, a lot of kids there, and they had crafts for the kids, and we had some book readings, and Mayor Pro Tem Nava was there to
I missed it.
read a book to the kids. Yeah, didn't scare them too much. And
I don't know why it was The Shining. I don't know what.
I don't know why.
It's a Christmas story.
It fits.
You know?
It's winter.
It's a winter story.
The winter story.
I don't know.
And then
Holidays.
we sang some songs, some Christmas songs, and the kids enjoyed that. And so it was a nice event, and a good way to kick off, continue our Christmas events for the month of December here in Brawley. And I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and thank our city leadership and our city employees for all the hard work throughout the year of 2021. And I feel like it was a good year, and you all helped make me look good as the mayor. We all did our best, so thank you all, and Happy New Year.
Super.
Well, he's making you look good, don't worry.
And I don't normally share too much on the personal level, but I'm pretty excited about this. My wife and I just celebrated finding out just a couple days ago we're having a granddaughter. So,
cool. Very cool.
Joining the ranks, yeah.
That's great.
The beard will match, the grandpa look. But
cool.
outside of that, certainly wishing everybody a very happy and safe and healthy holiday. Speaking of that, with family, and certainly looking forward to next year. Mr. Mayor, I know though things will probably get a little bit quiet here for the next week or so, so just look forward to next year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem.
I was, a couple things. I did the library event. That was great. Thanks to staff and for Councilmember Hamby for performing there as well. I did read The Nightmare Before Christmas to the kids, and it was entertaining. Santa made a visit, and staff worked hard, and there was a lot of kids present. So, great event. There was a suggestion, and I think it's a good one, that maybe we incorporate multiple events in one. I think maybe we work with the Chamber of Commerce. They had a successful event, the first annual event that they had earlier, and we have our Christmas lighting at the same time, and we had that event and maybe this library event at once. We can shut down Main Street, have a spectacular downtown event for everybody. I think it'd be fabulous. So just food for thought. But it was great. I do appreciate city staff, library, and the volunteers that helped with that. So thank you all very much. Today, I was honored to take part in the I-8 Imperial Avenue Bridge reconstruction bridge opening, right? And so that was fantastic over in El Centro. As a representative of the city of Brawley on ICTC, ICTC was instrumental in helping make that happen. So that was like a $48 million project, and it was done we've been talking about it for a few years now, but it was done relatively in a short amount of time. So it's just great to see, it benefits not just El Centro, but it benefits, the region. There's a lot of transport out there and, people moving through there. So glad to see that happen, and it makes it a lot more convenient for us too when we travel out there. And just a great project overall. So a lot of representation from throughout the valley. It was good to see. But I do want to thank city staff, fire department for helping Santa as he arrived in the city. And I know Santa's been making some different stops in different parts of the community, so I appreciate that very much. But thank you all very much for all the work that you're doing. Let's have a great Merry Christmas. I want to say that. I do want to thank staff. And let's have a great new year. Be safe, please. And let's have a great 2022. I'm looking forward to it. I had a great 2021. I mean, just personally and professionally, just probably one of the best years of my life. So I hope that everybody has a good one as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I attended the chamber event, their first annual Christmas celebration on the plaza. It was a well-attended event, I thought, and it went very well, and they had quite a few vendors. And I think everything went well with that event. I don't know, how it did financially, but I do know that it was well attended and I think the public liked it, and so it was a good event. I don't know if I report on this, but I did attend an event at the Brawley Creamery with the Star Wars Club being present, and took my picture with Darth Santa, and so I did attend that. I did Coffee with a Cop on the 14th at Starbucks, and thanks Starbucks for hosting that, I think. And then the chief and many of his officers were over there, and I got an opportunity to talk with them while I was there. And then I did also attend Tony Rehoda Sr.'s funeral. He was a longtime resident of Brawley, real instrumental at the Sheriff's Department in doing the dive team activities within the New River and also at the Colorado River. And he was a commander at the Sheriff's Department in his time, and he had been retired for many, many years and had many, many health problems, but he was a contributing member to our community, and it was my honor to attend his funeral. His son was CEO at the county. I think he's going to be resigning as of the end of this month, but Tony Rehodas Jr. And then tomorrow, there's the DMV is going to do their grand opening of their new facility. I have been invited to speak as the mayor. I think they have also invited Norma Hadigi as the former mayor that was involved in that when they made that decision to move there. And so I look forward to that and talking to the people there about the DMV. And I think we're all excited about having the DMV at that new location. And with that, I'd like to wish all the city staff and all the city residences a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I am very much looking forward to this coming year here in the city of Brawley. I think we're going to see some real positive things happen. If we can kick this COVID thing, I think we're going to see a lot more positive things happen, but we'll see how that goes. But certainly, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I wish the best for everyone out there. Thank you. Okay. Item 7, City Attorney Report.
Same thing, I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas to your family, and congratulations to Donnie and Susie.
That's awesome.
And I guess Donald and Kelsey too, right?
Yeah. Okay. City Clerk.
The same. Merry Christmas to everybody and safe holiday season.
Okay. And with that, we will go to item number 9, which is our closed session. Let's take a brief 3-minute break, and we'll get back to it. Thank you all for attending. Thank you very much.